I guess we might as well try and make a start. Just me and you, I think, Pete. Um, for those that watch this later, welcome to Ohio. It's a bit of a weird time in the day to be doing this because I suspect a lot of people are probably eating their Easter day lunch, but it was a convenient time for me to do a bit of a test stream because we are hoping to start the Terra Life Alpha streaming next week or in the week on Thursday in however many days' time that is. That didn't work any of that out. And so because I haven't streamed in a very long time, I wanted to do a bit of a test to check that everything still worked, check that all the sound was okay, and also get playing on Ohio again. So I have a loose ambition to stream on here once a week. So that's kind of my plan. So once a week on Ohio, and then once a week with Paul doing the Terra Life Alpha stuff. I don't know when the once a week other stream will be, but we'll see. So the plan is to reinvigorate this save. In the last episode of the series that I did on here, we harvested all of the fields, or finished harvesting all of the fields. And so all 3 fields that we own are empty. They all have no fertilization. They are full of weeds. They don't need plowing, thankfully, which is a bonus. So we are going to do some slurry spreading today. Have got a slurry buy point over at the main cow farm over here. We can do a little bit of auto drive, and hiding behind the Mack truck, I brought one of the gear big slurry tanks. So I think I saw Argsy using this, and I used one of them in FS19, and it's kind of fun. So we've got one of these we're going to be using, and we've got the Mack truck with, I think it's the TLX trailer on the back. It has a tiny amount of slurry in it already, so I think what I might do is see if we can put that into the does this have an open, or this bit I didn't test. I tested some stuff, I didn't test this bit. What I want to try and do, open pumps cabinet. I wonder if we need to do that. I did not test getting it from the trailer into the slurry spreader. There we go. What we'll do is we'll put in the little bit that we have, and then I'm going to send the truck off on auto drive to try and... Is that steering wheel missing its texture, or was it white always? I'm not sure. We'll send the truck off on auto drive to go and get a fresh load of slurry. This is it's got a very cheaty trailer attached to it that holds 500,000, I guess it is litres. I just realised I'm in pounds still, and that'll bug me if I don't change it. It holds 500,000 litres, so we should only need to send it across once. And it's a slurry buy point that I put in so that we can get slurry without having animals. We have to pay for it, but it's actually over at the cow farm, so it kind of works in my mind. So let's jump in here, and we'll be kind to auto drive and get it on a nice setting to head off. And then that's pretty much all set, I think. So off she goes. Yep, it's a she. So thank you, Pete. I'm glad it's looking okay. I did one quick sound check. So the family have all gone out. They've gone out with grandmother-in-law for Sunday lunch, and I got out of doing that because I'm antisocial. And yeah, I couldn't face a lunch in a pub today, so instead I'm talking to strangers on the internet, which you should never do. Obviously, never talk to strange people on the internet. But I haven't had as much setup time as I hoped, because I had to record the commentary for 2 videos first, so that I can be super far ahead in all of my videos for the week. Yeah, it's kind of how we do things. Hey, Kartek. First time chatter, Kartek. I should have some horns and sirens going. And maybe do a little dance or something. I've completely lost track. No, so yeah, quite often here, because we're used to having to, and particularly lately with Disco not being well, generally we've had to have someone at home to look after him. And to be honest, the in-laws can be hard work. And with how my brain is, I find it really difficult sometimes to deal with them. So yeah, oh, the truck is nearly at the buy point, so let's see how they do. Yeah, generally we tend to do something separately. It might seem weird to you. It's how we are. So yeah, I'm looking after the dogs at the moment, which is just because Mrs. D knew that I'd struggle with a family dinner. So I do like how they have cows on the map here on Ohio. That wasn't me. This bit of auto drive was me, so hopefully it works. I think I'm learning from the one I did consider going to see if there was an auto drive guy network for this, but I think I'm doing better from having just seen how he sets up bits of his routes, and being slower and more cautious with stuff. And apparently the alien was right, and you don't just have to go full speed. So I recorded this bit of the course quite slowly. By put that bit up, you can see it's quite a long, gentle turn. And auto drive seems to cope quite well with it. The bit I haven't mastered, which I'm not going to show you, is getting out of the turn. I found that it will still, even on the latest version of auto drive that I'm running, it'll drive forwards again, it'll reverse again, and then it'll go out. And hopefully, yeah, so it's buying slurry now, which is cool. So let's turn that off, and we'll get back to work and wait for it to reappear in the farm. It should appear somewhere just down there. And I seem to be, I think I'm missing a little bit, but man, it'll be okay. And we're going to run out of slurry very soon anyway. It's not having precision farming on is very strange. I find. I think this is one of, I guess we didn't use precision farming on the Western Wilds. But this is one of the very few times that I have not used precision farming since it released in FS22. And I just find it very strange. I keep thinking I've got to set my nitrogen rates and that kind of thing, where in reality I don't, because you just put fertilizer on and magically it's right. So yeah, I've no idea how far I'm going to get through doing this job today. I'm probably going to be on here for about an hour and a half, something like that. We'll see how we get on. I'm half tempted to jump over and stop the truck and bring it back, because it's already got 150,000 litres in there, so let's do that. Let's just drive it back. because I can't do anything until it gets back anyway, so it'll just be a bit quicker, and there's a good chance I'll crash, so I know some of you watching will enjoy that down there. I might even try not to, just to frustrate you, because sometimes I do have that power. I could be being massively overconfident. And it's kind of risky switching to in-cap, but we'll see how we get on. So apart from watching some thoroughly entertaining farming content on Twitch and me, is anyone else doing anything particularly interesting for Easter? Because I'm not. For two reasons. Reason one, I'm wrecked from running yesterday. I did a 30-mile run yesterday, which was kind of tiring. And so I'm kind of tired from that. And number two, I'm antisocial. Well, I don't like being around actual real people. I don't mind virtual people. They're more tolerable. And no, there probably won't be as many crashes as the last episode on Furling. In fact, probably within about a minute of that episode, because they were all kind of crushed together. And Andy F, thank you for following. You're at the beach. That's just wrong. Actually, it's quite nice here today, but I probably wouldn't. Actually, it'd probably be quite nice at the beach today. So one thing you will notice, and I'm probably not going to change that, is there aren't all the alerts and stuff, because they drive me pretty crazy. Because I'm not a fan of them. So if my plan that I mentioned at the start of streaming on here once a week, along with doing the Terra Life streams, actually happens, then I might add some quiet alerts so that I can at least see when people, do stuff like follow and things, because that would be kind of cool. But it very definitely won't be full of bells and whistles and things. I've spoken about it loads. I really enjoy some of VF's content. And he's just moved the realism experiment to the Oaks, which, as we all know, is a really cool map. And so I thought I'd start watching. I watched the stream replay on Twitch, and boy, did there be a lot of bells and whistles and chanting and all sorts of stuff. And I just could not. I skipped a big chunk of it, and it got better. And I put a comment on his YouTube video about, if you want to watch this but you can't listen to all of the noises, just skip the first 20 odd minutes. Because if you're at all sound sensitive like I am, then that was painful, which is a shame, because he was one of the first YouTube creators that I started watching after Daggerwin. Long ago did I stop watching a Daggerwin video, but the occasional VF video, I think it's because so some of my I've said this a lot. My second series was based on his realism experiment, and quite a bit of the content that I do is sort of inspired by that, with the whole nod to realism thing that I do with a lot of the stuff that I do. And so that's kind of why I like enjoying his stuff. There's not lots of I do mix in the odd magical auto load depending on what I'm playing, and the scale of things, but there's a lot less magical stuff, which I kind of like. I kind of like it when it's, I'm not like mega realism, but I like somewhat realistic in a lot of the stuff that I watch. So yeah. And welcome, Bill. You most definitely should watch, because you can go and watch the sugarcane one later. This will be up on YouTube later as well, because I'll do what I did before and do the transfer across thing, because that seemed to work quite well. And with luck, this one will be as popular, because the that short one I did on Calmston was really pretty popular. Weirdly so, unless it's just because it was Calmston, because, you know, I think Calmston content is still really, really popular. I guess because it's an Oxy map. Yeah, I'll find out, I guess, because this isn't Calmston, and it's a very similar thing. I guess the other Calmston one was Harvest as well, and I think there's a few types of videos that always do much better. There's Harvest, there's silage work, and you'll probably have, well, I kind of noticed that from some of your videos, Kartek, and did shamelessly start copying how you do your thumbnails for silage videos quite often. And the last one, which always gets a crazy amount of views, is building or setting up a farm. I don't know why. Every video I've done that includes somewhere in the title new yard or new farm or whatever like that always seems to do incredibly well. It's why on Attingham, when I built Wellington Farm, I made sure that it was part of the thumbnail and stuff, was because those videos always do really well. And actually, that, going back to talking about VF's stuff, he was talking, I think he might have been talking about it on his Oaks stream, about how his last Attingham Park video had done really well, and he was renovating the yard. So much so that although I don't feel like I'm very good at it, I have thought about doing just more videos where, you know, it's just like, let's build a farm. And it's an idea that I had last year, and I've not followed up on it at all. And I'll probably get the idea again in about 6 weeks' time, when I spend a silly amount of time running around the same farm again. And that's finding real world farms and trying. So I'm playing like I've got precision farming on. I need to actually cover all of the ground to get the fertilization. Finding real world farms on like Google Maps or whatever, or Google Earth, because there aren't that many around me that I could go visit to get real pictures, and trying to build something like it in Farm Sim. That was an idea that I thought about doing last year, and I actually compiled all of the pictures that I wanted to use to do it, and then didn't do it. For the ultra marathon that I'm going to be on attempt number 3 of in 6 weeks' time ish. A lot of it is around a farm / biogas operation. They do predominant, by the looks of it anyway, from actually just traveling around the farm and seeing pictures on Google Earth and stuff, they predominantly do silage for their big biogas plant. So they seem to grow quite a bit of maize, obviously, and there's just heaps and heaps of silage of all forms around the farm. They have a few massive, sort of open, clamps, probably not the right word, because they're not. They're just in the field, sheeted over piles of silage. And I collect as I was going around. And while it was daylight, I was taking pictures for reference to try and build a farm, because it would actually be quite a cool one, because there's a BGA and could probably make use of the pumps and hoses modular BGA stuff to build it. There's a vehicle dealer in the farm, and there's a brewery, so there's a production sell point kind of thing. It actually made quite a nice map, if I'm honest. If anyone's looking for ideas for building a map, I think it'd be quite cool, because there's lots of farmland. It's predominantly farmland, but there's a little bit of industry and stuff. So I have skip rows on. That's probably quite useful. Yeah, I think it would make quite a good map with the way the farm is structured. But yeah, it's something that I'd pondered in the past, was just doing random videos building farms. I think Simulation for the Nation does it occasionally. He's very good at building farms. The video that I remember of him building farms is he did the one, I think he uses it for one of his series on Calmston, and he took the area where the chicken pen is and the two sheds where the rubbish is piled that you can sell, and he built a farm in that area. It was really cool. It was really well done. And he went, in the video, he went through all of the Giants editor steps and all that kind of thing. And so that was really cool. It actually, I never actually followed through on it, but it did kind of inspire me to maybe be better when I do things. You know, he had all of he put walls and stuff in and all that kind of thing. It looked really good. Whereas, yeah, I guess my most recent example, I guess there's two. There's Wellington Farm and there's the one on Maypole Farm. And, you know, you can, you know, they're both quite open and simple farms. Because I really struggle with how to put the buildings together. So, some of you have actually been to that farm now in the real virtual world, which still I find so very weird. Yesterday when you were on there, Cartech, and I was sorting out your permissions for stuff, and it's like seeing and when I think it was one of the first times Eagles and Mark were both in the yard, seeing other people running around the farmyard is very strange. It's, yeah, it takes some getting used to. Oh, cool. I had missed that it has like a slurry stain over the slurry fill point. And it has slurry inside it that's filling up. It's got a fill plane of slurry. Gee, that is very well done. That is very well done. And it doesn't stick out the sides. I think that's the first vehicle that I've seen that actually has liquid that fills up inside it. I might be wrong, but I think it's the first one that I've seen. Probably kind of stinky in here. Yeah, real and logically laid out is not necessarily. I guess when I build farms, I tend to build them somewhat logically, maybe. And not many. Actually, Maypole might. It depends how long we stay on there. It might grow organically. I don't know. And I don't think it's a particularly new spreader. I will afterwards stick the link on Discord It's off of an itch.io page, and I can't remember exactly who it was. So I'll put the link in the mods channel on Discord when I finish, because it is really nice. There's loads of them. So if we go, I have another thing I want to rant about at some point. So if we scroll across, you'll see there's quite small ones. So 10 meters, 14,000 liters, going all the way through to the one that I've got, which is 36,000 liters, and it feels wider than 10 meters. There's a load of options for spreaders and attachments and stuff. It's really well done. I think it's done better in 22 than it was in 19. I did use it in FS19 a little bit, and it was good, but this feels better. It feels like they've done a really good job of bringing it across and tidying lots of stuff up. When I get on the next run, I'll show you some of the options. I do. I don't remember who it was by, but I used that on. I used the one with the slurry cannon on Sandy Bay. Was it like a 40-meter working width or something? I remember it looked very cool. Did I end up missing it? I did end up missing a little bit on the end of that. It's yeah. I remember I actually managed to get it to work with GPS, I think. One of the things I remember is the graphics were really nicely done for it as well. It looked really good when you were kind of shooting it across the sky. Could probably get some quite nice cinematic shots with it, I would imagine, if you were into that kind of thing, which I'm slowly bringing into my videos. It was a good shower of liquid manure. I did try asking, in case I ran out of things to say, I asked ChatGPT about slurry spreading in Ohio, and it assumed I knew an awful lot about actual farming. And it suggested that I talk to you about all the benefits of different types of slurry and all that kind of thing. And no, I do have some random farming facts if I run out of stuff to say later on. This is not at all farm sim related. I watched a really cool video this morning of someone got ChatGPT to write Flappy Birds, the game. So it did all of the coding to implement a game that you could play, which I thought was pretty nuts. I do wonder if, and actually we can link it back to Farm Sim, because I suspect it will happen. At the moment, ChatGPT is aware of Farming Simulator 22, but was programmed before it was released. I suspect in the future you would be able to ask ChatGPT to write Lua code for you, because Lua is like black magic. I'm pretty sure I have seen someone do it. I think they might have used FS19 as kind of the prompt or whatever, but I'm pretty sure I have seen someone have ChatGPT help them with script coding for FS. That is going to be kind of cool, and I think I've seen, I don't know which tool it was, but some of the other AI software that's about it might have been one of the AI art packages using it to generate game textures. So the guy that did the video on making Flappy Birds with ChatGPT got all of the artwork generated by an AI program as well. So it's pretty nuts. Pretty nuts. I don't think these came from Deniz Farms, Pete. I think he might have been involved. I think it was, I want to say 46 mods. But I could have a look if I wake my laptop up next to me. See, I think if you're Bill, I think if you were a mediocre software engineer, then ChatGPT is your friend, because you probably know enough to drive ChatGPT to make up for your mediocrity. It was 46 mods. It's 46 mods.itch.io/really long gear tanker name. But yeah, I think if you're a mediocre, yeah, that's true. Maybe. I guess, yeah. One mediocre software engineer could do the work of 5. I suspect that there will be limitations. So one of the things that, so I get a lot of my information on this stuff from Linus Tech Tips podcast that they do on a Friday, because they talk about it a fair bit. And they were talking about the fact that I think it was Samsung. Someone from Samsung accidentally released some kind of commercially proprietary code and information about products because they tried to use ChatGPT to do stuff to help. And yeah, so that was kind of dumb. And so the interesting thing that they got on to talking about is that there's probably going to be a case in the future for like companies and, you know, governments. It might have been government, actually. It might have been a government thing. But companies and governments having kind of self-contained versions of these. And because these things learn, how it might evolve separately from ones that are on the web. Yeah, it's quite interesting. I don't know if it's something that's genuinely worries me. And there are a lot of people that say that it's very, very scary. And I think the US government are trying, or some experts are trying to get a 6-month ban on further development in place to stop the rapid progression. That's really not going to work because companies, or sorry, nations like China won't stop. Expect a lot of private companies won't stop, but yeah, because I'm a tech geek, it just intrigues me as to how powerful that stuff is. Yeah, and so I haven't, Pete. To be honest, most of the stuff that I play with ends up in a video, pretty much. So if you haven't seen me use that header in a video, there's a chance it would be in a future one, but not at the moment. So no, pretty much all of my farm sim ends up here. Well, on YouTube, not here, unless you're watching this on YouTube afterwards. So no, I haven't had to play with it yet. I didn't even notice that one had been released, because generally I only very quickly scan the mods page when mods release, and if the name doesn't drag me in or the picture as it being interesting, then I probably won't click on it unless someone tells me it's really interesting, because yeah, I'm not really a mod collector, as probably come across as in all the stuff that I've ranted about in the past. Generally, I will go and find mods when I have a need for them. I guess and that's why I scan the names, because usually the ones that I don't realize I need are things like the enhanced animal system. But typically a name like that will pop out enough that I'll click on it and read it. So in terms of implements and stuff, because of the way I tend to play, generally I will go find stuff when I need it. I'm learning more and more, actually. I play a lot slower than a lot of people do, having seen just how many contracts 3 or 4 people on multiplayer can get through in half a game day. I play a lot slower than a lot of people. But it's because it's one of my pet peeves on things, and it's going to come in a little bit with Maypole. The kind of welcome back. We have £1 million in the bank because we've done contracts. Because I like to see stuff, so that's why when you guys are on the server, if I can, I will jump on and record stuff. So I've got a bit of footage of Eagles doing some of the bailing contracts and that kind of thing, and as and when I will try and mix that in. And yeah, to see, for me, the mods folder on Maypole is big, and it's 1.8 gig, I think, versus your 15 gig. Now I do have, like 8 mods folders, so in total it probably adds up to something similar. But keeping them separate just makes life easier when things go wrong. The FERT contracts are really quick though, Cartec. I did 20 in not very long on there. I might need to keep an eye on him to make sure that he's using the roads and not cutting through the hedges to get between fields. But he is a bit of a beast. I think the only problem that might cause is we might run out of contracts in a month. Because I think a lot of the fertilizing contracts, because I did a bunch as well, will be the last round of fertilizing contracts as they crop up. The big grass fields do take a while. I've done, I did I think it's 51, 52 and 53. The big grass fields on the northwest of the map. Mowing them might not take you very long. Manually stacking all those bales will take you a long time. I have not at all taken a great deal of pleasure when all of you realized that there was no auto load, and it's too early in the decades that we're progressing through to have an Anderson bale stacker, or the other one whose name escapes me, the Arcusin. None of these things. None of these. It's but to be fair, I saw the picture that you posted, Karthik. You did a pretty good job. I watched Eagles stack a trailer, and he did a good job, and he was quick. We were doing I was doing a hay contract with him up by one of the other farms. I finished baling. I jumped down to my farm to pick up the little Zetor or Ursus, whichever one it is. I keep forgetting which brand it is that I own, to help with the bale stacking. And by the time I got back, there was one bale for me to pick up. Yeah, the Fiat is very loud. I did consider going in and editing the sound, but generally what I do is when I'm editing in DaVinci Resolve, it's very easy to see on the audio trace when I switch to the Fiat, because it's like double the volume of every other tractor. So I just go in and edit the sound around it because it's so loud. I have a feeling that the Fendt might be a bit like that as well. I had to take the keys away for the Fendt because it's not even made it into a video yet that people have seen, and someone put a heck of a lot of hours on it. So you didn't see it because it's locked in a shed that I think only I can open. The Fiat is pretty slow changing gears. Yes. It has quite a clunky gearbox. The Ford that's on there, another spoiler if you're watching this, the Ford, I have tweaked the gearbox a little bit. So for those that aren't on Patreon, the Ford is one of my main tractors on the series on there, but I found the gear changing frustratingly slow. So it's had the gearbox tuned, shall we say, to make it shift a bit quicker. And so yeah, that's the version that is on Maypole. It might be worth, I think the Ford's leased, isn't it? We could put a loader on the Ford. The Ford's not bad for bale work. I've done most of my bale work with the Fiat though. It's not that bad. The little tractor is worse. The little tractor is definitely worse. Yes, of course. It was the tractor's fault. It was definitely the tractor's fault. I think that some of the case, I'm gonna be kind. A lot of you are not that used to manually handling bales in old tractors. And most of those mods that I have that are old tractors, I think behave like old tractors. You know, I think if it was a couple of decades further on, if you were a couple of decades further on, I think things would be easier. So actually, I talk about the vision that I have for that in the future as to what cool things we might be able to get on there. Hey, I think I've got that installed, and I think it's on the list. So I'm pretty sure that that New Holland 8340 was in the setup that I had for contracting. But it's not cheap, so it's probably one for the future, or other stuff in the future. you will see in the next video, which is going to come out tomorrow if I finish editing it later, that there's a whole load of new stuff on the farm as a result of Eagles and others doing lots and lots of contracts for us. It's definitely going to speed up the progress on there. Being such a big map, there are a lot of fields. And that means there's going to be a lot of contracts. The harvest season is going to be pretty mental. I think a lot of you are going to really, really enjoy driving my most favoritist root crop harvester, the KS6B, with its slow speeds and container ship like handling. Actually, you've driven one for me, Kartek, when we were on the Western Wilds, but I think that's going to be an experience for some of you who might be used to the really big stuff. I guess that I'm just trying to think where we are. We're in May. Probably need to prioritize harvesting kit on there soon. Otherwise, we're going to be doing lease to own, I guess. Was it a nice tractor to drive, Pete? The closest I've got to being in a tractor is about this. Apart from like a country fair, country show thing in the UK. This is pretty much it. Yeah, so there was a one of the old class dominators came up in sale on there. I'm losing track of when, because I've played on there quite a lot lately, but it was still quite expensive. So we used. We might end up getting a fleet of combines on finance, and then actually I might just lease them for harvest season. You didn't see that, right? You didn't see the crash. Cool. Yeah, I'm half tempted that I might just... Combines are definitely one of those things that I think there's a real case for just... there's a real case for just leasing the combines for a bit. I guess the counter to that is if you guys are hammering all the harvest contracts, they will very quickly do a lot of hours. So it might actually be better to buy one. I think I checked this morning and the finances still looked okay, Kartek, so you can't have spent that much. It didn't look too bad. So then if Eagles is out beasting harvesting contracts, no, we don't borrow the kit on their Kartek. It's not how this save works. Yeah, I'd seen that he'd redeemed a bunch, and using is that like, I guess this is using the 4-wheel drive to brake is some kind of early regenerative braking technology, maybe. Yes, yeah. So we don't just borrow the kit and use it for all the contracts, because that's something that I want to do, because it's a contracting business, and that's not how you would run a contracting business. So we either have to buy them or we have to go lease them from the dealer, and then pay for them. You know, it's not hired help, it's a contracting firm. You know, you wouldn't want your let's take the example you used on Attingham of you paid contractors to come in and harvest silage for you. They turned up with a forage harvester, I believe. You didn't just get a couple of blokes turn up. So that's my argument, is that a contracting business would have contracting kit. I think that's a reasonable assumption. I know when I started, that's not what I was doing. You know, when I started out with that, I was borrowing the kit. But it's how the save has evolved over time. I'm going to do the smaller field and then probably call it a day, because I'm already nearly at an hour. So time is flying by. Yeah, one thing I really do appreciate is you guys are, from what I've seen, sticking by, and I don't always expect you to, because you're joining in to play to make it more fun. But generally what I've seen, everyone is sticking by the style that I'm playing, which I really appreciate, because it makes it much easier for me to incorporate anything that I record while we're playing, because it's the same style. So it's really cool. Like there's the bit, it's in the video that's going to come out tomorrow. There's a bit in the video tomorrow of Eagles and Mark doing some of the forestry. And it's really cool. So I think it's really cool. Yeah, yes, you can only drive through hedges when I'm offline. And you also can't, actually, you probably, there's a real benefit in me using VCA, in that I suspect most people don't know how to work the GPS in that. Or they're frantically going watching my video on how to use the GPS that's built into it. So, and the other thing is, I'll be able to tell if you've used it if you haven't finished using it properly. So, that'll be a fun one. There's nothing wrong with dodgy windrows. Actually, it's 2 videos. I have to be really careful what I say with that, putting lots of spoilers in, because to get to the point where I could put the server up for the weekend, I had to get 2 videos recorded. So I have one for tomorrow, and I have one for Thursday this week. That's my plan. And so there's quite a lot has happened between the last video that most people saw and where the save game is. And that's something that I have to consider to try and avoid putting too many spoilers in. Hello, Eagles. We do not steal from the local farmer. Otherwise, I'll have to stop you. You have to remember that I know how to edit the configurations that better contracts let you use. So it might be that, you know, your harvesting contract gives you a plow, and that's it. Yeah. So I have already considered not just to stop you guys doing it, but to also stop me doing it, because, you know, the temptation is there. I have considered going in and basically removing the equipment from the setups, so that even if you borrow the items, you don't get anything useful. There's the slight problem with that, and it's why if you were to borrow the kit for a root crop harvesting contract on there, you get the one that I use, and you get a super modern one, because it doesn't recognize the one that I want to use as a harvester, and it throws an error message. So I found that I had to put in what the game counted as a harvester to get rid of the warning message. So for harvesting contracts, you'd have to have some sort of harvester, but maybe not a suitable harvester. It's a whole different style of playing for me as well. I probably should get this on its way back. In the contracting setups, there are no modern machines for that save. With better contracts, I created the custom setup that's in there, and you can tell the game to only use the custom ones. I did have a problem at the start where if you had DLCs enabled, it would use DLC kit, and almost every contract would just use DLC kit. And so I got in touch with the guy who makes better contracts, and he added that into one of the updates, so that if you have it set to use only custom setups, it will ignore DLC kit as well. So yep, even if you borrow the kit, you only get period appropriate kit, and also I think I've set it so to discourage people. I've set it so I think I left it that way, so that if you do borrow for the contract, it currently costs 40% more, because that's the highest number that better contracts would let me use. So yeah, that is it's a whole discussion that I think you missed, Eagles, about just borrowing it. Because that was Cartech's solution to we need a harvester, or two probably, to keep you lot busy. Was we'll just borrow it from one contract. And no. I feel that this save has, in a way, not this save, the Maypole save that we're talking about, has pushed me in a way to a more realistic playstyle than I've done in a long time, maybe ever. Because it's been a very long time since I've always manually loaded bales, for example. The series that was close to it was my Sandy Bay series, and you mean borrow it from the farmer whose contract it is? Because that's what I'm talking about not being able to do. Bring this over here. That works surprisingly well. See you, Bill. Thanks for stopping by. hope you enjoy your exercise. To open the tank again. I think there we go. Yep. Yeah, I think the last time I did this was the start of my Sandy Bay series before I could afford a bale stacker. And I think quite quickly I brought the little Ursus one that we had in FS19 that would do 6 bales at a time. Because bale stacking in FS19 was much harder. Much, much harder. I actually went back and watched one of those videos a while ago. From a while ago, yesterday or the day before. I watched the very first episode of my Sandy Bay series. It brought back some good memories. And I crashed within the first 5 minutes of the video. Thank you for the follow, BJ. It's a good name. The problem with I sometimes use loading wagons, but at the moment you can't use loading wagons for contracts. And I've only got one clamp on there, so which is full of maize silage, so I would have nowhere to put anything. And it also wouldn't help with the fact that these guys are just monstering through every single contract that's available on the map faster than they spawn. So I could do with some sort of cheap bunker that would let me ferment silage in it. That would be really cool if someone could do that. You know, that would be really cool if someone could do such a thing. I would really like that as a mod. And if the person that was doing that was struggling, I've just thought of a slightly cheaty way of actually making it work. Because I don't know how hard it is to make something. Yeah. So, hello, Noel. How you doing? I consider the kit that that both farms own to be shared kit. Apart from the fact that I took, as I said earlier, I took the keys away for the Fent because someone was using that far too much. But things like combines, I consider that would be shared between the two. Even if in the future DS Agri is mega rich and has like lots of kit, I'd borrow the combines from there. The only reason I've split them out is I think it's a control thing. If I haven't spoken about it in a video that you've seen yet, I speak about it in the next one. I think I might have spoken about it in the last one. It's opening up one of my saves that's, you know, a series and a single player series is a massive step for me. I'm kind of a control freak. That might hint as to why I've taken the keys away from the Fent. And actually, you know, I was saying earlier, seeing people walking around my farm is strange. I'm loving it. Like logging in and seeing you guys working and doing stuff is so cool. The little bit that I got to do with you, Eagles, yesterday was very cool. I really enjoyed it. But the the dairy farm is kind of locked off at the moment. And that's just because, I don't know. It's strange for me. It's very strange for me. So, but, and that, so that, if it wasn't for that, it would just be one farm. So yeah, although they're two separate farms, in my head they're one business, I guess. So yeah, and pretty much, and I will stop holding on to the fence once I've actually got to drive it for a bit. Everything that either farm owns is available to the other, because the way I see it, you guys are doing the work that I would have tried to do with course play and auto drive. And you're getting through a lot more of it. I've seen his inability to feed his cows, so yeah. I need to check. Hope, are you still on the same game day on there? I guess you should be. I guess you're kind of forced to be. That's one of my other concerns, which is why when it's online it runs at half time, is the cows running out of food. So, and the fact that I need the mowers to feed the cows, and if you guys are doing grass working contracts, I don't have the mowers, so I need a mower. Yeah, there are some things on there that are going to change, not in the videos this week because they're both already recorded, but in the week after, because I've had an idea for something that I want to do. But I need the time to build a little mod, so for another animal pen. One of the cool things on there that I do like is I have got if I made them buy another mower, it'd be me buying another mower because it's me. It's all me. Okay, cool. Eagles, I will probably take it offline if it's too dark to play until I can get the next video recorded. I've completely lost my train of thought. But yeah, before I record the next video, I need to build a little mod for something that I want to do on there. So it's just it's another animal pen. So it occurred to me that I can do things more efficient. That's what I was talking about. So the good thing with the feeding is, because I'm running night cloaks customized feeding, they eat a lot less. They produce less milk, but they eat a lot less. So you don't actually have to feed them as insane an amount. And it doesn't disappear as quickly, which is really nice. So yeah, that's there's a few other things that I've changed in there. So the other thing that's changed in there, which I've spoken about in a bunch of the videos, is the zero grazing does roughage, power food, and moisture food instead of silage, moisture food, and power food, so that I can buffer feed them with silage rather than hay, because that's what I see on all of the real world YouTube farming videos that I watch from the UK. Very few farmers in the UK seem to make hay from now. I think there is Cartech. I think that mod exists where you can see the status of the animal pens like Simple Inspector. And I'm pretty sure it's on Mod Hub. Pretty sure it exists. if ModHub had an effective search function, you could search for it. The thing that I wanted to rant about, and I'm going to do it properly in a video, is the layout of the categories on the ModHub website. They are, insert expletive, awful. I've been trying to look for specific categories. You open the menu, it's something that fills the entire browser window pretty much, and it's not in a logical order. Someone should introduce the Giants web developers to the alphabet. Because that way, when I wanted to look for something that began with S, I could look at the end of the list, not have to search the whole bloody thing. It drives me nuts. Does Production Inspector do the animals as well? I know it did productions, obviously, because it's Production Inspector. But I didn't realise that was the one that did the animals as well. Will I make it to the end of the run before we run out? I'm going to say no. I don't have too much problem with animals running out of food, because generally I tend to, when I open a save up, I check that all of the animals have feed. And if they need it, I'll feed them at that point. It doesn't always get in a video. Bit like the behind the scenes on Greenlands, where I show all of the feeding that I do on there. Not all of it, or show some of the feeding that I do on there. That's really cool, Pete. He had like actual mods for his real world pigs. Should be enough. Yeah, I didn't show you the chicken feeding on there because the chicken feeding on Greenlands is just awful. It takes so long. I'm really considering getting rid of them and deeming that a bad experiment, or changing the feeding, because having to put 4 different products in is just a pain. Well, that's that field done. And I think I'm going to start thinking about wrapping up. I will, so as I said at the start, my hope is to stream on here once a week. Don't know when the once a week will be. Before I do that next stream, I am going to get that field fertilized because it'll take ages. So that next time we can do some planting and put some crops in. Because I kind of just want to try and revive this and actually make streaming a semi-regular thing, between this save and the Terra Life Alpha streams. So that's kind of the plan. I will post in Discord when, hopefully a little while in advance. It's likely to be an afternoon. Probably Friday afternoon this week, or maybe Tuesday afternoon. If I do it, Tuesday's not far away. And yeah, I'm gonna try and give streaming a proper go and see how it is, because this was kind of fun. It's cool to actually chat to you. So Glad you both enjoyed it. I have no chocolate to eat because I'm trying to be healthy and somewhat athletic. We actually have very little chocolate in the house. We only have 1 bar of chocolate that the teenager got from father-in-law. I suspect she might come back from having dinner with the in-laws with more chocolate, but yeah. So thanks for watching, everyone. Thanks for stopping by. Thanks for those that have followed. And I'll see you again next time.